Well, greetings. Thanks for joining us today for our 103rd episode of Lightbulb Moments. We're live on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to check out past Lightbulb Moment episodes and more at Qnity. So remember, money's not the most important thing in life, but it is reasonably close to oxygen on the gotta have it scale, as Zig Ziglar said. I'm Tom Kuhn from a variety of different pursuits within the Qnity family. I'm also pleased to be a board member of Beauty Changes Lives, and thankfully you all joined us today. Qnity provides financial literacy, financial management, financial training for those in and outside the professional beauty industry. Qnity in Action is one of the ways that we serve our marketplace with several grid-based visual thinking tools. And ultimately, what we're here to do is to help you go from overwhelming, confusing, and complicated to a simpler path towards prosperity for you. And we hope you have some light bulb moments today. Let's follow the new rules of engagement, which is simple, visual, and actionable. And again, financial wellness for pro beauty, whether it's through students, through a Money EDU, Money Pro, which is for professionals, or Money SBO for owners and their managers. We have different ways to help you level up your financial part of your life. Remember to prosper, manage your ATM, the three currencies we have in life: attention, time, and money. It's not lost on us how precious your time is. So thanks for joining us today. Whether you are joining us live or listening to the recording, we're again very thankful you joined us. Our last guest was Win Claybaugh. It was so great to be with Win again last week. And of course, he had several different nuggets on asking big, impact, innovation, great conversation. Listen to the recording. This week, we have Sydney Berry, who has been coined the Queen Bee of Beauty. She's never going to live that one down. We also have a Kevin's Corner. So Kevin Lightheart is going to join us with very timely tax-related tips towards the end. We had Kevin on with us last week, so it'd be great to have Kevin join us again in a little bit here. All right, it is official. We are in Austin, Texas next year. The Phil is back bigger and better than ever. I love this property. It's called The Line, and I have to tell you, it is an amazing place to get a way to fill your bucket, as well as fill the gaps in your business. And the setting of it in Austin is wonderful. It's right on the Colorado River. It's a cool hotel. Love the property. So anyway, we've already started ticket sales on this. It's under early bird pricing. We're going to be announcing some new features to the Phil in upcoming weeks on Lightbulb Moments and other different places. So heads up about that. Also, we are doing Money SBO again. In the best time to be in Minnesota, March, and that's a joke. And Candace Gliato is going to once again lead this this 2-day workshop that at the end of it last year in September, everybody walked away fired up. Everybody walked away moving into action, and it's really a great thing to sneak into the first quarter next year. The final report and some special infographics will be soon released for the compensation study. We actually have created it was a new division. I think now it's going to be even more segregated, a new division called Qnity Institute, which this compensation project and other work that we're doing that's impact related is really under the framework of economic empowerment through actionable data and intelligent career and other studies, and financial literacy for the workforce. Aaron will have a brief moment at Serious Business main stage. We will be down there on January 15th and 16th. And go to our Lightbulb Moments website if you want to make any suggestions of guests, go in the barrel, submit Lightbulb Moments of your own. So we'd love to definitely keep this a roundtable format by inviting as many members of our community to participate as possible. You can also go in the barrel, and if you have a critical issue that you want to expose in front of a bunch of your peers and community for the brave, go ahead and send us an email on that. My Lightbulb moment of the week has to be Generation G, which we talked about last week, thanks to Win Claybaugh. And this is generosity. And study after study shows that when a staff at work is laughing, having fun, and feeling like they're making a contribution to something bigger than themselves, their creativity, teamwork, and profits increase. I'm kind of on this Generation G kick right now as we go into the end of the year. We've had a very, very busy and audacious year with new programs, new conferences, new data study. And I'm looking forward to the year ending with like a soft landing. We've got a lot of deadlines we still have coming up here before the end of the year, including tax planning, Kevin. Let's have a nice soft landing this year. Let's end the year with generosity, gratitude, glory, all of that. My light bulb moment of the week. There you have it. All right. Now, let's get Sydney off mic. Now, Sydney, I have to read this, okay? This is one of my favorite descriptors. Beloved, because it so fits you, by the way. Beloved by the beauty industry and anyone in her orbit, Sydney Berry has been a beauty industry leader for more than 50 years, known as the delightful, not just the Queen Bee of Beauty, but the delightful Queen Bee of Beauty. She was recently honored by Hair to Stay for her advocacy. Sydney is the previous owner of Seattle-based distributor Salon Services Pro, so she had an exit from a distribution company, and now she's chair of the PBA Board of Directors. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am great, and I'm so excited to be here.
When I was talking to you yesterday, you just kept throwing these nuggets out. I was in my car. I was trying to work out. I was running out of paper. And at the end, it's like some of your best stuff came out, you know, and I don't even know where to start with you anymore. So that's not actually true, because you threw on some things about Jane Goodall and something you recently went to. So we're going to touch as much as we can today. Okay.
Okay.
I think first and foremost is for us to, just like when I was on with Win last week, I had seen Win about a month before. And, you know, there was impact and, you know, to things we experienced together by being part of an event he's hosted. You're the chair of the PBA now, and the executive summit was 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
That is your biggest event of the year, and you're the chair of that. Was that a big sigh of relief to have that behind you?
No, it was so excellent. It's so wonderful to get people together to be able to exchange energy, because that contagion of energy and wanting to thrive and share and engage with others is so palatable when you come together. And the speakers this year, including your beautiful daughter, Erin, really brought a huge amount of new energy and thought. With Brian Solis, who I've been following for so many years, he's in the tech industry, and I thought that's what he'd be speaking to, but in reality, he spoke to culture, as did Heather McGowan. She spoke to culture and the generational tiers and what each generation will be bringing forward as they are in the organizations that they're in. And so that was exciting, as well as Larissa from NPD, who shared data about beauty. And beauty definitely is holding up. The lipstick factor is still there as people continue to see beauty in self-care and wellness, as well as cosmetics and hair and such. So, and besides the fact that our industry is the essential industry, it is the industry where we are the day makers. We make a difference in every service we provide.
You know, PBA has been on my mind lately, and, you know, there's been some big changes there. And I don't know, I think it might be lost on the majority of people. I don't think they realize how significant of a step PBA is taking. And essentially PBA, I'm going to give it my own words, over the many decades, I don't know how many decades I've been involved in PBA or its predecessor, too many. It's really has in recent years been very much an events organization. I mean, it's been the dominant part of the revenue, dominant part of the staff, and all of that. But meanwhile, PBA needs to serve as an advocate, needs to provide data, so what's going on? So what's the shift in simple terms, and what does that mean to all of us?
In simple terms, it is so very exciting. It is something that when we created PBA decades ago, we merged the vendors, the distributors, the salons, and the stylists together. And with that merger, we brought with us multiple shows and an association conference called Cosmoprof. And with that, it was something that when we started PBA, we recognized that we needed to create the association member value, but at the same time, what we had was a commitment to create these events and shows. And so it ended up being something of a dilution to what it was that we wanted to truly bring to PBA members was resources. And the opportunity arose for us and Fiora Bologna to join together with Informa. So we have partnered together with these units so that we can be free of participation or the creation of all of those events. We will still participate, but at the same time, it's not something that's going to derail us from what our intentions truly are, which is to be the member resource. And right now we're working so diligently within PBA, which COVID sent us on a whole different track as well. I am so very proud of everything that PBA did in the course of the 2.5 years of COVID, because everybody within the staff created outreach and virtual platforms of information. It was technical in nature, it was sanitization in nature, it was everything that we needed to do to be able to have a connection while we were all remote. And so PBA really rallied and created a strong structure, which was great to have. And then moving over to this new structure right now, we're looking at member value and partnerships and collaborations with so many different entities. Qnity is one of them, working with the health benefits is another, buying groups is another. We're looking to put together collaborations where we invite people to come to regional areas where we would have a meeting of the minds of sort, where we could share the strength of one another, much like what you do with this lightning moment that you have, this lightning bulb. What I'm so impressed with Qnity has continuously arisen to the trials and tribulations of this industry by creating the seminars that they do with the Phil and creating Qnity 10 and Qnity itself and working with schools right now. It's the comp study. I am so proud to have witnessed everything that has just really arisen and you have embraced and challenged, and everybody that belongs to Qnity. I'm so impressed to be able to have gone to the Phil and to see the level of continuous commitment to raising the tide, because all boats rise when we raise the tide and we have a stronger purposefulness. And one of the biggest strengths that I see is creating the culture of strength, because as I was a stylist and a salon owner 50 years ago, and I felt so alone. I didn't know where to find answers. And that's what's been so wonderful to witness what it is that Qnity has done, because they have created that opportunity to be able to share and to learn from one another. And that's the contagion that we need within this industry, because we're not competition with one another. We are the strength of one another. And so that's what I see in what we're doing with PBA. And it's just been so, it's energizing when you're thinking about new starts and new shoots, which is exactly what it is that we've been doing with Cunity, as we have been arising in the same way that you did to be able to respond to what it was we needed. With COVID, we had COVID relief, and we raised millions of dollars to be able to help salons in that path. With disaster relief, we've done the same to meet the hurricanes and our stylists and our salon owners that needed the financial wherewithal to be able to come back. And so that was another entity that we do. And we also do Cut It Out. We have Cut It Out and Strength and Beauty and Ambassador Program. And so we're always looking for new ways to be able to thrive. And NAHA Executive Summit, Cosmoprof, and all of the different classes that we're continuously offering beyond Executive Summit. And I would encourage any salon owner that has the opportunity to come to Executive Summit to come, because it really allows you to network and to be able to connect with others that are vendors and distributors and salon owners, to be able to create the entity that we want to have PBA become, because PBA is shallow without the experience of others.
Well, you're shaking things up, and I do want to acknowledge and thank you for some of the acknowledgments about Cunity, and hopefully Lisa, JP, Sonia, Michelle, Marie, and all the people are hearing those kind words. So thank you for that. It wasn't lost on me and appreciated. You know, there's the queen bee, but I have maybe some other ways of describing. I mean, you're such a collaborator, and I want to acknowledge you for that. And I'm looking at some of the notes when I was sharing with you, sort of my, you're one of these people that gets stuff done. And when I say get stuff done, when Sydney calls, you pick up the phone. When Sydney says jump, you basically say how high. And we all feel that, and that's because of the trust you've earned, and you don't call in favors, you do it for the good of all. And so you lightning rod, I think is a term. You're kind of a lightning rod in terms of getting stuff done. And that's a big deal. And how did you become such a, there's an activist nature to you. I mean, you take action on stuff. Have you always been this way?
Initially, no. Initially, I was a shy hair designer, and it was so wonderful to be able to work one-on-one. And as I progressed through my career and started in distribution, I recognized opportunities to be able to have everyone come together. And when I came into distribution, I did what I had wanted to have happen while I was a salon owner. And that was, I formed a group of individuals to be able to share best practices. And I called it initially the Meeting of the Minds. And it was such a successful opportunity. We created a trust factor within that community by creating promises to one another that we would never hire another one staff member. If someone came to our salon that was in the group and said, I want to interview with you, you would say, well, did you tell your salon owner? Because they are a part of my group. And if you didn't, I will be calling them and letting them know that you had approached me. So that allowed for trust, so much so that we were able to share our financials and best practices, whether it was onboarding, ongoing hiring, interviewing, how we created the process documents about how we entered into the salon and how we guided our clients throughout their environment, because so many times there's people that didn't know about robes and etiquette and where things were within the salon. And it really created a strength. As a matter of fact, Meeting of the Minds lasted for 25 years, and we held it every 6 weeks that we would all come together. And that also led us to join the TSA, the Salon Association, because we would have a minimum of 40 individuals that would come together to TSA. And then we would bring our light bulb moment back to the group, because one of the biggest challenges that we have always seen as a hair designer or a salon owner is you go to something like this and you come back home and your hot water heater goes out and somebody quits and something goes wrong. And so we end up taking care of what's necessary. And we put on hold what it is of working on our business. And this held us each accountable to that. And one of the things that I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention, the United States, through Ben Franklin, actually started with Junto. And Junto was a gathering of individuals that he would bring together every Friday night for, I believe he did it for 40 years. And Junto still is in effect now. And it was always about best practices, because we don't have all the answers, but together we do. And that to me is what's created the activist in me, is I see different things like Hair to Stay. I loved what they stood for, because to be able to help support with subsidy, a cooling cap while you're going through cancer is an option that is not, there's not a lot of options when you have cancer. You just go down a journey, and to be able to have that option was so good.
We should let people know that this is personal to you. So
yes, it is personal to me. I lost my hair in 1990 when I started with breast cancer with my first mastectomy. And then in 1994, another mastectomy, and 2009, another necessary surgery, because I had regenerated cancer in my tissue, my breast tissue. And then in 2017, my cancer had metastasized to bone cancer. I have been on 16 different treatments since 2017, which also has allowed me to be an activist for cancer research as well. And we've raised a lot of money for vaccines for cancer and for this Hair to Stay, which is cooling caps, subsidies. In Europe, those subsidies are taken care of with cooling caps. The insurance pays for it. So they understand the dignity and the individualization that is lost when we have cancer, because cancer comes in the room before you do. And people don't know how to support you in that manner, because they want you to be okay. You want to be okay. When you step out of a shower in the morning and you re-put yourself together because you're missing body parts and hair and eyebrows and eyelashes, everybody in your world wants you to be okay, including you. And that's the projection you can give if you opt to be able to keep your hair. And so that was a great experience to be able to help to support. And our vendors and salons and stylists embrace this, because doctors want to save your life. And they don't see this as saving your life. And what they don't understand is that it saves your mental attitude and it strengthens how it is that you approach the world. And that makes such a big difference. There was just an actress that she stated she was continuously able to work through her cancer treatment because she used cooling caps and was able to continue to work. It's those types of stories that we keep our clients while they go through cancer by sharing this information. So Hair to Stay is a big deal. What Dr. Nora Dissis is doing as far as vaccines, big deal. PBA, big deal. We've got so many different options, and really embracing and jumping and engaging into those things with future leaders. I've neglected to share that Erin is a big push on future leaders, and we're bringing in different individuals to share their jewels of wisdom with everyone. And they also have created mentorship circles. And we also have Beacon that I've neglected to share that works with students before they graduate, and ongoingly we're having mentorship with our Beacon students so that they can onboard with strength of emotions going into our industry, because this is one of the most beautiful industries in the world. When we were shut down because we weren't essential, it really fired me up, because we are the most essential element that we could have, because the touch that we have with these hands that touch us, whether it's skin, nails, hair care, we are the embodiment of the contagion of energy that we give and share with our clients, that many times we're the only touch that they may get. And we listen and we guide. And that's why we are the day makers, as David Wagner coined us, because we make a difference in the lives of others.
When I was on with you yesterday, here you sold your business, and now you're involved in all different things, including generously giving your time in a lot of different ways. And you referred to someone as like your mentor. And I said, well, that's pretty clear. That's pretty cool. I mean, when you think of mentoring, a lot of times you think, that there's an expiration to it. That mentoring is really that you reach a point in life where you don't need mentors, which is crazy. And I'm kind of maybe trapped into that thinking myself. So it kind of opened up yesterday, like, well, who's my mentors? And I started thinking, oh, I do have a lot of mentors, but I thought that was pretty cool that, here I'm talking to you, you've got a lot of wisdom, you got a lot of experience, and you just routinely say, oh, my mentor, so you're a lifelong learner, and you keep pushing the envelope. How many mentors do you have? And what's your theory of mentorship?
I think that's why we're all alive, is to be a mentor to one another, to inspire, to be that torch. There's a saying that George Bernard Shaw said, and I totally believe it. And it is I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle to me. It's sort of a splendid torch, which I have a hold of for the moment. And I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it over to many generations. I believe it's my fierce responsibility to what it is that I have been given, the gift of life, to be able to share with others. And I believe that that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be the provocateur, and to be here to learn as much as I possibly can, and to share it and to connect, because I don't hold the answers. I hold more questions. I am more of a provocateur, and I just want to continue to learn. And I learned more during COVID than I had in the 50 years in this industry. And I just take advantage, because people like you, Erin, I also consider a mentor. She is just so pragmatic and thoughtful in how she creates an environment where we come together and to learn together from her. And you are a provocateur, because you always have been, and always pushing the envelope so we can all strive to be better. Sam Mercado, who I saw was on here, he's always done the same. Linnell Lynch, amazing woman with Beauty Changes Lives and Unite as One. Your compensation study is rising all tides as far as illustrating what it is that we can do when we apply ourselves within this industry to be able to have it be the career we wanted, plus the financial wherewithal so we can do all the things we want to be able to do for our lives.
You served a role in the compensation study that's a little bit private that only you and I know about, and that's you talked me off the ledge once. And we won't get in any details here. This is a private moment, but we literally between phase 1 and phase 2, and I'm like, what did I get myself into? I started to project out what my next year looks like, and you and I had some very interesting and candid conversations that we won't reveal, but it was very helpful. So thank you for that, because it takes a village to push something, get something started, and once it gets going, you still need a lot of pushing. So I want to explore one other topic with you before we bring Kevin up here. And you mentioned that you had just seen Jane Goodall, and
Yes.
you were all fired up. And you also spoke to me a little bit about her apple juice. So let's because you were very inspired by that, and it's always nice to catch someone in the moment in terms of what's inspiring them right now. So a little bit about the apple juice, and then a little bit about Jane Goodall, and then we'll invite Kevin to the screen here.
Great. Well, I went to see Jane thinking that I would learn all about gorillas and chimpanzees that evening. And lo and behold, what she wanted to speak about. And she is an amazing speaker. At 88 years old, she walks up to the podium and she stands there so strong because she has a message that she wants to share. And it's about evolution, not revolution. And the evolution is that she has seen what it is that we are doing to this beautiful earth. And she has become an advocate extraordinaire of climate change, population explosion. She has witnessed it with her animals in Africa, whereas they lost so much of their jungle and it was destroyed and burnt and her animals were killed. And so she wants us all to be like the indigenous Indians that recognize that Mother Earth and humanity is connected. And what it is that we do to the earth affects us. And right now, we're on the trajectory course that is not going to end well for the future generations unless we tap into making that change that is necessary for this planet. And so she talked the entire time about all these different stories that she witnessed on a global perspective due to this. And at the very end, she did share a chimp story, and it was so beautiful because this chimp had lived in an environment that had been devastated and was not thriving as a jungle. So they had pulled this chimp out and had brought him back to life and were releasing him into the jungle. And they opened the crate, and the chimp just literally, you could just see how he responded to freedom. And then he went back to his veterinarian and he touched her and gave her a small hug. And then he jumped on top of the crate, and Jane was standing next to it. And he reached out and he gave her the hugest silent hug. And it was a several minute hug. And then he lifted his head up and he looked into the jungle and he ran into the jungle. And you could just tell the gratitude that he had, that somebody he knew had a point in his life. And then she did a panel discussion that was so relevant to everything that she did, because nobody had ever done what Jane had done, to go from Britain to Africa, to land in there and to recognize the DNA that we model in humanity with animals. And then she started, somebody asked her about her apple juice. She says, it's whiskey. I have to have whiskey. The singers told me that when they sing, they need that to warm up their vocal cords. And so I have a sip of whiskey. And it allows me to continue to talk, but everybody just teases me. It's Jane's apple juice. So I loved that transparency and vulnerability that she had, and how well spoken, and how she sees women and our children and all of us together being able to rally in saving the world together and recreating what it is that we have lost and could refine, because nature is so resilient, just as we are as humanity.
Well said. A great conclusion to a great conversation, and to our new member of our Brain Trust. All right. So I do need to formally award you $1 million light bulb. I realized, my gosh, you haven't been a guest on already. So thanks so much, Sydney. Let's everybody give her a virtual round of applause. Give her a little chat and love in the give her a little love in the chat. Sydney, you are just such an inspiration to all of us. The delightful Queen Bee of Beauty. So you're never going to live that one down. All right. Thank you very much. And Sydney, we'll talk to you very soon, I'm sure, before the holidays. So, all right. Thanks again. All right, Kevin. Kevin, I feel bad for you. This is the second week in a row. Last week, we had this conversation with Wynn Claybaugh, and then with the Taxman Cometh, and then this week, Sydney Berry, and here comes the Taxman. So
yeah, 2 weeks in a row, Tom. You gotta do something different. But no, that was amazing. That was great. That's not easy to share some of those things, and it was very good.
Well, may some apple juice toast to you for sharing some of your wisdom with us. So
sure.
All right,
sure.
Here we are. So this is Lightbulb Moments centered around financial matters and roundtable, and here we are. Today is the 14th, so we're 2.5 weeks away from the end of the year, and the end of the year has some meaningful dollar related choices. I mean, this is, there is thousands, tens of thousands, and even hundreds of thousands at play with decisions you can make at year end. And
that's correct.
So you shared some tax tips with us last time. Do you have a favorite one that really, I know that's hard because you have a whole list of things, and
that is hard.
Just some things that you think is important for the majority of people to be aware of.
Right. That's good. It's a good question. It is hard because, as I mentioned last week, everybody's situation is different. And so it's kind of hard to say, well, here's the 2 or 3 things that absolutely you have to do, because everybody's situation is different. It starts with having good information and know where you stand, because it doesn't make sense to do some things if you have no idea if it makes sense to do that. And also looking at the big picture, not just this year, maybe in the next year or two, so you don't, do something this year that would hurt what might come down the road. But some of the favorite things is, the biggest things that have the biggest bang for your buck is if you need some, fixed asset equipment and those types of things that have a direct current impact on your bottom line, assuming you need and want to reduce your income to reduce your taxes. If you remember at the Phil, you asked if everybody had $1 million, what would they do? Do you remember what the most common response was?
Yeah, it was buy real estate, right?
Buy a building. And that right there is something that has a huge impact, and not only on your help with your taxes, but also, the investment in the retirement benefits of that down the road. So that's something, though you're not going to necessarily go out and buy a building right between now and December 31st, but that's certainly something, if you don't currently own your own building, to make that a goal is to have sometime in the future and put some things in place to try to do that. Because like we said, almost, I don't know what percentage of the people that mentioned that, but that's what the most common thing that people said that they would do.
Talk to me a little bit about business use of home office, possibly even events at your house, that kind of stuff.
Sure. It's a good question. Several years ago, it used to be a really hot topic and kind of a taboo to do a home office, but that changed several years ago. But a lot of people didn't realize that, or don't take advantage of a home office. It's very, tax friendly, if you want to call it that, where the IRS it's not a hot topic focus type of thing. And so you're allowed to, even if you have an office at your place of business, you're allowed to take a home office deduction, and even quote, rent out your house for a party or something like that, or a staff event, and get a deduction for that as well. So if you're not doing a home office deduction, you should consider it.
That alone, in many cases, it may not be like tens or twenties of thousands or whatever, but it's to me, it's kind of some low hanging fruit for a lot of people.
Yeah, and every little bit helps for sure.
What about family wages and employing family members in your business? Yeah,
that's another item that a lot of people either aren't aware of or not clear how that works. As business owners, if you have children that are under 18 that help you do some things around the business, or whether it's home office or at the regular office, and whether they realize this or not, you're going to treat them as a family wage employee. And what that allows you to do is to pay them up to the standard deduction, which that increased, you remember, back a couple of years ago, from around 6,000 up to over 12,000 for individuals. So you can pay these children, these family members, up to 12,000 a year, and you don't have to pay Social Security, Medicare. That's the nice thing. And then if they have no other income sources, then they would be below where they would need to file or owe anything. So that's another great thing, especially if you have 2 or 3 children that are in that 7-8-year-old range, when they're old enough to mature enough, if you can call it that, up to 18. And that could add up if you have 2 or 3 children in that range.
That's a good
and
one.
Use that money to pay for their extracurriculars, their sports and piano lessons and dance lessons and stuff like that.
I want to hit just a couple of areas here
Sure.
with you. Okay. The personal expenses of owners and managers, et cetera, auto, travel, meals, phone, insurance, and most people that will tune in weekly are small business owners, many micro businesses, and looking for any tax advantages they can get. So talk about that a little bit. Personal expenses.
That's another area that sometimes gets overlooked or maybe not maximized to its fullest potential, to have the company either pay for or reimburse you for some of these things that kind of have a mixed use, like your vehicle, cell phone, home internet, things of that nature. And even, as you mentioned, the key employees, as a nice benefit to them, give them an auto allowance or cell phone allowance, and things of that nature. And what's nice is it's not taxable to either you or them, because it's basically a reimbursement of business expenses. And even travel and meals and things like that, you can convert otherwise maybe on the surface it looks like a personal event or personal expense to a business expense by talking business or going out to see a potential client or whatever the case may be, even when you're on vacation, and allocate a portion of that expense that would normally you wouldn't think about deducting, and treat it as a business expense.
Good stuff, Kevin.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
I might still tap into you one more time before the end of the year. Well, I'll take next week off. We'll give you, it's 2 weeks in a row we've had you on here. But
no, I don't mind at all, because like you said, this is the time of year, because a lot of things you want to try to do and put in place after December 31st aren't an option. There still are some things, but the majority of them aren't an option after December 31st. So like putting a retirement plan in place, and et cetera.
All right, Kevin, thanks for having us.
My pleasure, Tom. Merry Christmas to you and everybody else.
Yeah, I don't know how many of these you have, but we need to send you another one. You're going to have like your whole little wall of.
I'll create a display case for him.
You create Kevin's corner, and you show us the corner sometimes. So
we'll do.
All right.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, everyone.
All right. I got a few more things for the rest of you before we wrap up here. And okay, let's see where we're at here. I need to. All right. Okay, get your calendar out. I want to go through some dates again here. The final report and the final infographics from the compensation study are soon to be released. We'll be talking about that more later. Again, we have the fill coming up. Mark those dates, May 21st and through May 23rd. May 21st is really going to be actually Lightbulb Moments. We should have, I think I saw Sam and Megan on this call, Sam Mercado and Megan Jasper. They should be joining us to present the golden light bulb to at least 2 recipients next year. So anyway, we're super excited about the fill. Also Money SBO coming up in Minnesota here, and Serious Business in January. We hope to see many of you down there in January. Lightbulb Moments website, again, that's a place where you can submit comments, Lightbulb Moments, suggest a guest. We'd love to hear from you. And again, or if you want to go in the barrel, if you have some issue that you want to unpack in front of your peers, let us know. Closing thoughts is I'm just so grateful that we get to work with such amazing humans like Sydney and Kevin. And it was great to hear the community team get some recognition today. So proud of everything they do. They're great collaborators. And I'm just looking forward to the next 2.5 weeks, connecting with as many of you as possible to tell you how much we love you. And we appreciate working with you and having you part of our community. For those of you that are watching this in YouTube, certainly earmark this one to listen again, because a lot of the words of wisdom from Sydney are worth repeating in the future. So I want to thank you again for joining us. We're wrapping up now, and all the best to you, and hope you have some light bulb moments in the next week. We are off for the next 2 weeks, as Sonia, who's really the producer of Lightbulb Moments, is reminding us. So we're going to see you right after the first of the year. So I guess this is our happy holiday wish to all of you, and wish of gratitude. So happy holidays to all of you and your family. And we hope that you start 2023. My gosh, that's sneaking up on us. We hope you have a very prosperous and successful next year, and we'll see you right after the first of the year. All the best. Thanks again. Bye.